President Trump now urging House lawmakers to adopt the Senate's budget this week in order to get a tax bill passed before the end of the year. This as the president confirms in his exclusive interview with Maria Bartiromo that Republicans are considering adding an additional tax bracket for the wealthy, for the rich, saying it would provide a bigger benefit for the middle class.
Paul Ryan did an interview and said, you are insisting that they have a fourth bracket. It's on your insistence that they have a fourth bracket. I know that you're very focused on the middle class, but do you want to raise taxes on the rich with a fourth bracket?
Well, he really said that on the basis that I wanted it or was thinking about it because I want to make sure the middle class gets taken care of. So in that way, yes. But actually, we do have four brackets because we have a zero bracket. And people aren't including that, so that would actually make it a fifth bracket as opposed to an eighth bracket on the other side, on the other way. I call it our competition, which is the competition of the past. No, I think that when Paul says that, and we may not have that, but I would rather do that than do anything to hurt the middle class.
Joining me now is President of Americans for Tax Reform, Grover Norquist, along with EY America's Tax Vice Chair, Kate Barton. Grover, I'll start with you. Axios reporting that the House Ways and Means Committee is currently exploring not cutting taxes on people who earn $1 million or more a year. Is that smart, in your opinion?
Well, I understand the effort because the Democrats always say that any tax cut favors the rich. They did that when Reagan cut taxes equally across the board for all brackets. They'll do it this time. It doesn't buy you anything. The Democrats will attack any tax cut with the same rhetoric. So I think it's not a good idea. I hope they don't do it. The package is extremely pro-growth, and the idea that once we get the growth and the stock market does better and we get more jobs, as happened with the Reagan tax cuts, no one is going to go back and listen to the politics of envy and greed that the Democrats are peddling. That makes noise now, but much more important are jobs for people who didn't have them during the Obama administration.
Kate, do you think that we get it? Because it does seem like the stars are lining up in D.C. to basically come up with what is a wealth surtax. Kate, do you think that happens?
I do. I think it's going to be tough to make all the numbers work from a budget perspective without this so-called fifth bracket. So, you know, we're dying to see the legislation that's, you know, 2 steps away from that.
Have you heard anything about in terms of what that rate might be? Because, again, it seems like it'll be, because the top rate in the plan right now is 35%. The existing rate is 39.6. It seems like it would be maybe on earnings above $1 million, taxed at maybe 37%, 38%, a little bit lower than the current top rate.
I think you have it. Around 37, 38 is the common talk out there.
Grover, I want to move on to this because when I heard this, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal on Friday about this, that House Republicans were reportedly considering a plan to sharply reduce the amount of money that Americans can save in their 401k plans. It was part of an effort, again, to raise revenue in this rewrite of the tax code, or these tax cuts. President Trump tweeted about it this morning, saying there will be no change to your 401k. This has always been a great and popular middle-class tax break that works, and it stays. But, Grover, to that point, they were in the report in the Journal, the GOP was looking at cutting what is an $18,000 pre-tax contribution limit on 401k plans this year. It goes to $18,500 next year to $2,400. You want to really stick it to Americans who are trying to save their money and have a stock market crash at the same time. That is a genius idea.
If having a higher tax bracket was a stupid idea, and it is, going after savings for people's retirement is a particularly god-awful, stupid idea. I think it's very, very helpful that President Trump slapped that down. I mean, the idea that we overtax people's life savings again and again and again, that we make it difficult for Americans to save, and then if you're stupid enough to die, we can take 40%. I mean, we've got to get away from punishing people's ability to save for their own retirement, to take care of themselves. 401ks, IRAs, defined contribution pensions, all do that. And when in the past we've limited the amount you can put in, it discourages people from getting in because all they do is they hear in the press that thing's going away. Right. So it's much worse than the actual numbers.
And here's why. That's why I'm making a face, because, Kate, when I read this story, I thought these nincompoops in Washington can't fix Social Security. Social Security is going broke, and they can't fix it, so people need to be able to rely on their own savings, so we're going to punish that as well. That's why I found this to be just a heaping barrel full of idiocy, to be blunt.
So we just really have to see the legislation. So we need the budget reconciliation to pass this week, which everyone thinks it will, and then we'll get draft legislation. And I think that that will be an opportunity to try to hone in. And I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think that there'll be a cutback.
What do you think the big revenue raiser is, so to speak, other than the economic growth? Because a lot of people say, I mean, Grover has said this, you just cut taxes across the board, both particularly for corporations, pass-through entities, and individuals, and you will get the growth. Like, I think President Trump said this in his interview with Maria, that 1 percentage point in increased growth would equal about $2.5 trillion. I think was the math that he used.
Yes.
So what else do you think that they try to cut to come up with revenue in this, if not reducing the contribution limit on 401ks?
I think there's a bunch of different options. I mean, we're going to see on the individual side, we're down to 2 deductions, right? Mortgage interest and charitable. And so no state and local deduction. That's a big deal, especially on that 5th bracket. That's
$1.5 trillion.
Exactly. So that's significant. We'll see what happens in this debate. And then on the corporate side, the whole move to territorial, how this minimum tax is going to work, that could be a big revenue raiser. So again, a lot of companies are watching that as well.
Grover, final word to you.
Well, one of the challenges is on territoriality. The point is not to tax overseas income. A minimum tax continues our policy of taxing overseas income, which distinguishes us and damages us compared to other countries. So that's a fix that undoes the progress.
Grover, thank you. It was great to see you. Grover Norquist, Kate Barton, much appreciation to both of you.